Back in the year of Longwo's Great Flood, when the whole city is starving and reduced to drinking muddy water, my family sits down to hot canned luncheon meat every single meal. We've even stockpiled half a room full of life-saving medicine, all because I've awakened the supply salvage radar. No matter how deep the floodwater runs, I can scan straight through it and pinpoint every buried treasure below. Right now, I'm standing at the window, staring out at a world swallowed whole by water. My brow is locked in a hard knot. I used to be the top master machinist at the factory. Then the restructuring hit, and I lost my job. The moment my livelihood collapsed, the Great Flood arrived. Water swallows the utility poles whole. The phone lines are dead. There is no sign of any rescue team. The room is stifling hot, like the inside of a steamer. Lily is 9 months pregnant, struggling to push herself upright, one hand pressed hard against her lower back. 2 days of nothing but watery broth have left her face as pale as paper. Her lips are cracked and peeling. Lily says, "Marcus, the rice bin is bone empty. There is not a single grain left." She rubs her belly, her voice trembling, eyes red and swollen. I walk over to her. My rough, calloused hand rests gently on her belly. The little one is restless inside, kicking and squirming, as if crying out from hunger. These hands of mine, steady enough to machine steel parts to a perfect fit, cannot conjure up a single bite of food. I say, "It is all right. If the sky comes crashing down, I will hold it up." I pat the back of her hand. The words barely leave my mouth when a thunderous boom erupts from the hallway. Plaster rains from the walls. Someone is kicking the door. The security door rattles and shakes under the blows. Then comes Rex's grating, raspy voice from outside. Rex shouts, "Marcus, open up!" He curses outside, telling me to stop playing dead. Rex is the most feared thug in the neighborhood. He used to brawl his way into trouble, did a few years in prison for it, and came out running loan sharking and protection rackets. Now the floodwater has the city surrounded. Everyone else is fighting just to survive. Rex goes door to door borrowing food, and everyone knows that food is never coming back. I say nothing. I turn and grab my homemade long-handled spear from the corner, forged from scrap steel pipe and a cutting blade, 3 prongs polished to a razor shine. For a master machinist, this kind of work is second nature. I could weld it with my eyes closed. I grip the spear in one hand and stride to the door. Rex yells outside, "Open up or I'll rip the whole door frame off." I yank the lock open, wrench the security door wide. Muddy yellow water floods the hallway up to our ankles, reeking of rot and filth. Rex stands shirtless, a crooked dragon tattoo crawling across his chest. He swings a rusted rebar rod. Behind him, Blondie and Beanpole grip butcher knives, faces twisted with defiance. Rex grins. Well, well, the great master machinist finally shows his face. He cranes his neck, peering past me into the apartment, eyes locked on the kitchen. "We have been starving for 2 days. Lend us some rice, just enough to get by. Once the water recedes, I will pay you back double." I say, "Nothing here. Get lost." I level the spear across the doorway, a wall of iron blocking the entrance. The fat on Rex's face twitches and trembles. He swings the rebar against the iron railing. The crash is deafening. Rex roars, "Don't push your luck. Lily is about to give birth. You want all 3 of you to starve to death? Hand over the food. I'll keep you safe. Otherwise, nobody crosses this threshold today." Inside, Lily claps a hand over her mouth, trembling at the foot of the bed. My eyes go bloodshot. I tighten both hands on the steel pipe, drive power from my core, and thrust the spear straight at Rex's face. Fast as a whip, clean and precise. Rex does not even have time to react. All he sees is a blur. A rush of cold air grazes his scalp. A dull thud. All 3 prongs of the spear drive deep into the load-bearing wall right beside Rex's ear. Brick dust rains down. Another half an inch to the side, and that ear would be gone. Rex goes completely rigid with shock, nearly toppling into the water below. Behind him, Blondie and Beanpole are so terrified they stagger back 2 steps, splashing water everywhere, knives shaking in their hands. I say, "I will say it one more time, get lost." I rip the spear free, chunks of brick crumbling out with it. My voice drops cold enough to freeze. "Anyone who touches my wife or child gets a hole punched clean through them. Go ahead and test me." Rex swallows hard, staring into my bloodshot eyes. Cold dread shoots up his spine. He knows that when I am pushed this far, I do not bluff. Pushing harder will only end badly for him. "Fine, you've got nerve." Rex grits his teeth and steps back, jabbing a finger at my face. "That water is not going anywhere anytime soon." He leaves the threat hanging in the air and storms off with his crew, cursing the whole way. I watch Rex and his men, still muttering and swearing, disappear around the stairwell corner. I spin around and lock the security door tight, then drag the solid wood shoe cabinet over and jam it hard against the door. The moment I let go and catch my breath, a sharp chime rings out inside my head. A mechanical tone detonates in my skull. Supply salvage radar activated. I freeze where I stand, convinced I am hallucinating from hunger. I shake my head hard. Then, a glowing blue grid map materializes out of thin air before my eyes, identical to the 3-dimensional blueprint diagrams back at the factory. The map cuts straight through the concrete floor beneath my feet, pointing straight down into the murky floodwater below. The depths are pitch black, choked with floating debris, nothing visible to the naked eye. But inside the grid, one by one, blue and yellow dots flicker to life. I rub my eyes hard. The dots do not disappear. They grow sharper. I lock my gaze onto one blue dot. Text floats up beside it instantly. Old bicycle, no practical value. I shift to another blue dot. rusted iron pot, no practical value. My heart rate spikes. My breathing turns heavy. I follow the grid map downward, and directly below, packed dense and clustered, blazes a massive field of bright yellow dots. That is Old Man Lee's corner store on the floor below. The flood swallowed the first floor in the middle of the night. Old Man Lee fled and left everything behind, sealed underwater. I stare hard at the yellow cluster. Text floods in, 50 pounds of rice, waterproof packaging intact, 20 cans of luncheon meat, seals unbroken, 10 bundles of dry noodles, moisture damage detected, 5 pounds of sugar, seal intact. This radar can actually see straight through murky water and expose every valuable thing buried below. And that is not all. Red lines on the map mark every current and every hazard. The store's front entrance is blocked by a collapsed shelf covered in broken glass. But the radar shows an old gap in the security grate at the back window, just wide enough for an adult to squeeze through. Every hidden current, every underwater whirlpool, all of it charted on the map with perfect clarity. With this thing, how could I ever go hungry? I take a deep breath and turn to look at Lily on the bed. Her lips are dry from hunger. The baby inside her desperately needs nutrition. There is not a drop of rice broth left to make. Sitting here waiting for rescue is the same as waiting to die. The store underwater is the only lifeline for the three of us. Chapter 2. Deep dive through murky water. The cans on the first floor. I am a machinist. Skilled hands, sharp mind. I dig out 2 empty cooking oil buckets and screw the lids on tight. I lash them together with nylon rope, making a big flotation pack. Then I pull the drain hose off the old washing machine. One end tied to the flotation pack, the other end trimmed flat with a kitchen knife and clenched between my teeth. Done in a few minutes. An underwater air tube. Marcus, the current out there is so strong. Going in now is too dangerous. Let's hold on a little longer. Maybe the rescue team will arrive this afternoon. Lily leans against the headboard, clutching the edge of the blanket, belly round and heavy, eyes red, lips so dry a thin layer of white has formed. I stroke Lily's hair, voice steady and firm, carrying an edge of iron resolve. Lily cannot wait any longer. The rain is still falling out there. The water is still rising. The rescue teams cannot reach everyone. You are carrying our child. Adults can endure. A baby cannot go hungry. I know Old Man Lee's store on the first floor. I will go down, grab some food, and come straight back up. Lock the door from the inside. No matter who knocks, do not make a sound. When you hear me knock 3 times, then pause, then open up. Instructions given. I strip down to just my shorts, tie a rope around my waist connected to a large woven sack, and push open the iron door on the 3rd floor. A wave of putrid stench hits me square in the face. The water has risen to halfway up the 2nd floor. The surface is covered in rotting vegetable scraps and dead rats. Yellow water spins and churns, rushing downward with a loud rush and roar. I toss the flotation pack onto the surface, clamp the hose between my teeth, take one deep breath, and plunge into the murky water. The moment I hit the water, a bone-deep cold seizes my muscles tight. The water is thick with mud and debris. Everything ahead is black and yellow, nothing visible at all. A chime sounds in my head. The supply salvage radar kicks on at full power. A 3-dimensional grid map projects directly into my mind. Everything within 30 feet is crystal clear. The grid is laced with dense red lines, dangerous currents. Directly below, the 1st floor blazes with a cluster of yellow light, all of it life-saving supplies. I dive down along the staircase. Just as I reach the 2nd floor landing, the radar flares with a silent red warning. Ahead, several thick red lines twist together into a massive whirlpool. I fix my eyes on the edge of the red lines, grip the iron stair railing with everything I have, and force my way around the outer edge of the whirlpool. The current tears at my thighs. I clench my jaw and inch my way down, until I reach the 1st floor store. The front entrance is exactly as the radar showed, a collapsed shelf hung with broken glass flashing red on the radar. I press against the wall and work my way around to the back window. 2 iron bars on the back window's security grate have rusted through, leaving just enough of a gap. The radar marks a ring of red dots along the gap's edge, all jagged, rusted spikes. I pull one hard breath through the hose, curl my body tight, and squeeze through. Rusted spikes scrape across my stomach. I hold my breath, inching forward centimeter by centimeter. Inside the store, it is pitch black, but the radar blazes with yellow light. The dot sits under the 2nd shelf on the left. I kick my legs and push toward it. My hands find a slick woven sack. Text pops up in my mind. 50 pounds of rice, waterproof packaging intact. Good stuff. I grab it and stuff it into the sack at my waist, then feel along the 2nd shelf. A row of tin cans, 20 cans of luncheon meat, seals unbroken. Both hands working fast, all 20 cans go in. The sack swells tight. I am just about ready to head back when the radar erupts in a blinding red flare. One massive red line drives straight at my back. Water pressure surges. I do not look back. I kick hard off the shelf and throw myself sideways more than 3 feet. A muffled boom. The radar shows a broken log carried by the hidden current smashing through the back window. The security grate buckles badly. The log jams itself in the window frame, blocking most of the gap. The impact was violent enough to jerk the hose loose. I swallow a mouthful of foul, muddy water. water. I spit it out fast and clamp the hose back between my teeth, sucking in hard. Time to move. 50 pounds of rice and 20 cans of meat. Dead weight. I drag the sack to the back window. The gap is smaller now. I force the loaded sack out first, letting it hang in the water, then turn sideways and squeeze out along the broken log. The rough bark tears a layer of skin from my chest. The dirty water hits the raw flesh and burns like fire. I clench my jaw and make no sound. Both hands grip the outer brick wall. I heave myself outward with everything I have. My shoulder catches. I suck in hard, compress my chest, and force my way through. Out of the window I ride the current upward, hauling the supplies, the rope cutting into my hands. I pull the nylon rope connecting to the flotation pack and kick upward with everything I have. The water pressure eases. With a loud crash, I burst through the surface, gasping hard, swiping the foul water from my face. I look down at the heavy sack in my hands. Using the flotation pack for support, I drag the supplies and swim back to my floor, hauling the heavy load into the living room piece by piece. I lock the security door from the inside, slide the bolt, then drag the old sofa over and jam it hard against the door. When it is done, I collapse against the wall, gasping. The wound on my chest from the bark, soaked in filthy water, burns like fire. The bedroom door creaks open. Lily emerges, one hand on the wall for support, belly heavy, face a sickly yellow from hunger, lips cracked and split all over. The moment she sees me walk back safely, her eyes go red and tears stream down her face, her legs about to give out against the wall. I call out quickly, "Stop! Don't move!" My voice is hoarse. I do not bother changing out of my soaked clothes. I cross the room in 3 quick strides and catch Lily by the arm, carefully guiding her back to the bed. I say, "The floor is covered in filthy water. A fall right now could be deadly." I wipe the foul water from my face, flash a grin, a full row of white teeth, and say, "Lily, look what I brought back." I walk to the sack, undo the knot, and the mouth falls open. White rice and neatly stacked cans of luncheon meat spill into view. Lily stares, both hands pressed over her mouth, terrified to make a sound. 3 days without food, surviving on nothing but half a bucket of clean water. Lily's voice trembles. "Rice? And meat?" I pat the sack, a solid heavy thud. "That's right, 50 pounds of rice, 20 cans of meat. Enough to last us a good while. Tonight we eat something hot. Easy to say, hard to do. Outside, floodwater drowns the city. Desperate, starving people are everywhere. Light a fire and cook openly, and the smoke and the smell of food will draw every hungry predator in the building straight to us. I am a master machinist. Sharp mind, skilled hands. I find an empty formula tin, grab a flathead screwdriver and a hammer, and knock out a series of quick strikes. A ring of evenly spaced ventilation holes punched around the bottom of the tin. The size and spacing are deliberate. Enough airflow to let the fuel burn fully without producing a single wisp of black smoke. Then I dig out most of a bottle of rubbing alcohol we have left, and break apart half of a leftover honeycomb coal briquette. I mix the coal fragments with the alcohol and pour the mixture into a small tin container, forming a solid fuel block. When it burns, the flame runs clean and blue, burning hot, and most importantly, no smoke. Stove ready, I do not light it yet. I go to the bedroom, pull the thick quilt off the bed, and seal it over the window with tape. 1 layer is not enough. I add a blackout curtain on top. The room goes absolutely dark. Not a sliver of light leaks through. I click on a flashlight and hold it between my teeth, then set the small tin container inside the formula tin stove. I ignite the fuel block. A clean blue flame leaps up. Not the faintest trace of smoke. I set the small aluminum pot on top and pour in 2 bottles of water. While it heats, I rinse a handful of rice in a bowl, then pick up a can of luncheon meat and pull the tab open. The tin peels back with a hiss and a thick, rich wave of meat smell hits me square in the face. Pork, starch, and salt. A scent that could pull a starving man's soul right out of his body. I swallow hard, slice off half the block of meat, and chop it into small pieces. The water in the pot comes to a boil, bubbling steadily. I pour in the rice and the meat and stir slowly with a spoon. Before long, the rice grains swell plump and round, the broth thickens, and the fat from the luncheon meat renders out into the pot. A shimmering layer of oil floats across the surface. Meat and rice. The smell fills the stuffy room and swirls around us. Half an hour later, the flame goes out. I carry a bowl of steaming meat congee to the bed. I say, "Lily, eat up." I scoop a spoonful, blow on it gently, and bring it to her lips. Lily opens her mouth and swallows. The scalding congee slides down her throat and into her stomach, spreading warmth through every part of her body. She has been hungry for so long that the sudden rush of hot food overwhelms her. Tears rush down her face and drip onto the back of her hand. I wipe them away with my rough thumb and say, "Hey, what are the tears for? The good days are still ahead." Then I say, "Eat more." Lily nods, takes the bowl, and drinks it down in big, eager gulps. A full bowl later, the color in her face is visibly warmer and pinker. Lily suddenly lets out a sharp cry. The empty bowl nearly drops from her hands. Both hands press over her swollen belly, brow creasing tight. I jump. "Did you eat too fast? Is your stomach hurting? Lily shakes her head, tears at the corners of her eyes, but her lips are curving into a smile. She reaches for my calloused hand and presses it gently against her belly. The moment my hand lands there, I feel it. A soft, rhythmic push against my palm. Once, twice, like a tiny fist punching from inside. Fetal movement. Lily whispers, "The baby is kicking you. He must have smelled the food. He is full now. Happy." I stand completely still, feeling that faint pulse in my palm. I am a tough man. I have faced blades underwater without flinching, but right now my eyes are burning. I clench my back teeth and force the feeling back down. I break into a grin and say, "This little rascal sure knows how to pick his moment." I rub my big hand gently over Lily's belly and say, "Stay put in there. Once you come out, your dad will make sure you have meat at every meal." Lily leans back against the headboard, hand on her belly, breathing slowly easing. Fed and warm, nerves finally settling, she drifts off into a deep sleep. I tuck the blanket snug around her, slip quietly out of the bedroom, and close the door. The living room is dead silent, nothing but the hammering rain outside. I do not sleep. I sit on the sofa, using the faint beam of the flashlight to check my weapon. A steel water pipe, over 3 feet long, with a heavy cleaver welded hard to the front end. The blade ground razor sharp. This is my spear. A soft chime sounds in my head. The supply salvage radar activates on its own. This radar does more than just scan for supplies. It can also detect abnormal movement on the water's surface. On the virtual grid map in my mind, the previously calm blue water zone begins to pulse with rings of red. Something is approaching. More than one thing. Red rings ripple into view from over 300 feet away, drifting steadily along the current toward this building. My eyes go cold. I kill the flashlight instantly. The room drops into absolute darkness. I move silently to the window, lift the edge of the thick quilt, and press my face to the glass. Outside, the water has already risen to halfway up the second floor. The distance between the surface and my window is barely 6 feet now. The surface is littered with debris, dead rats, and broken timber. In a flash of lightning, I squint hard at the water. About 150 feet out, a dark shape sways on the surface. 2 men lie flat on a massive inflated inner tube, paddling with 2 wooden planks, driving hard in this direction. A raspy voice mutters low, "Rex said this building has someone hiding food. Which floor is it?" Another rough voice growls, "Shut up. I smelled meat just now, drifting on the wind. I am certain of it. Has to be the 3rd or 4th floor." Rex's men. My hand tightens around the spear until the veins stand out across the back of my hand. These loan-sharking thugs, they were already preying on people before the flood. Now that the city is underwater, they have gathered a whole crew of street criminals to rob food and water from anyone they can find. Anyone who fights back gets thrown straight into the water and left to drown. The inner tube drifts slowly until it floats directly below my window. Both men go still. One of them stands up, grabs the drain pipe, and starts climbing. My windows are sealed tight. He cannot see inside. He reaches out and shoves against my security window grate. The grate is old-style stainless steel pipe. It is solid, but a pry bar applied with force would not take long to break it. I stand on the other side of the wall, listening to the iron bars rattle outside. Even my breathing slows. I do not call out a warning. I do not turn on any light. In a world this brutal, showing your hand is the same as asking to die. I keep my eyes fixed on the window. The moment they try to break through, my spear goes straight through their throat without hesitation. The rain outside intensifies. Fierce wind drives wave after wave crashing against the wall. Damn it, too slippery, can't get up, wind's too strong, the tube is flipping. The climber's foot slips and he crashes back down onto the inner tube, sending water spraying everywhere. Let's fall back and get more guys. Bring tools and come back to pry it open. That meat smell is definitely coming from here. It is not going anywhere. They curse and shout as they paddle frantically, riding the current back into the darkness. On the radar map in my mind, the red rings slowly fade, finally stopping 2 buildings away and going still. They have not gone far. They are camping close by, eyes locked on this building. I know this was just a probe. The moment dawn breaks or the rain lets up, Rex will come back with a full crew. I glance at the closed bedroom door. Inside lies my wife and my unborn child. They are my life. Hiding alone will not cut it. I need to defend, and I need to go on offense. Lily is close to giving birth. If she gets exposed to this filthy water and gets an infection, we could lose them both. I have to get antibiotics and antiseptics. The community clinic about 150 feet away has a waterproof safe inside. I pull my gaze away from the window and plant myself back in front of it, gripping the spear, eyes fixed hard on the water outside. Dawn breaks. The wind and rain ease slightly, but the muddy yellow water still churns just below my window. A soft moaning comes from the bedroom. I drop the spear and run inside. Lily is lying on the bed, face white as paper, soaked in sweat, both hands gripping the bedsheet with white knuckles. I grab her hand. "Lily, what's wrong?" she says. My belly keeps tightening, there's this heavy pressure pulling down. She bites her lip, voice shaking. "Marcus, is the baby coming early?" My stomach drops. The due date was already close. The fear and shock of the past 2 days, the cold and damp of this place, It has definitely triggered early labor, giving birth surrounded by filthy floodwater. If an infection sets in, without antibiotics, it could be fatal. I cannot just sit here. I have to get the medicine. A chime sounds in my mind. The supply salvage radar activates. The three-dimensional grid map unfolds. I expand the search range and lock onto the community clinic 150 feet away. The radar sweeps across. A gold dot lights up on the clinic's first floor. Text appears beside it. Waterproof safe. Contains antibiotics, penicillin, antiseptic solution, and other medical supplies. Found it. I go to the living room, grab a hammer and screwdriver, and knock the solid wood door off its hinges to use as a raft. 150 feet sounds short, but the current is violent, and the water beneath is full of hidden flows. The surface is littered with deadly debris. Swimming across blind would be suicide, but I am a master machinist. Nobody knows better how to use tools to stay alive. I dig through the toolbox and pull out a heavy-duty pulley and a coil of thick nylon rope, the kind that can carry hundreds of pounds of steel. I lock the pulley tight to the load-bearing column on the balcony, thread the rope through the pulley, tie one end to the door raft, and knot the other end around my waist. With this safety line in place, even if the current sweeps me away, I can pull myself back. I tell Lily, I'm going for the medicine, lock the door, do not open it for anyone. I leave the spear with Lily, tuck the screwdriver and steel wire at my waist, and head for the door. Lily grabs my arm with red-rimmed eyes. Marcus, out there the current is so strong, please be careful. I pat her hand. Trust me, your man is hard to kill. I turn and head to the balcony. To avoid Rex's crew, I wait until the dead of night. Outside, the darkness is absolute, the storm raging hard. The perfect cover. I push open the window and lower the door raft into the water, take one deep breath, and throw myself in. The water is cold as shards of ice. The moment I hit the surface, the current slams into my waist and tries to rip me away. I dig my fingers into the edge of the door raft and pull my head above water. The nylon rope at my waist snaps taut. The balcony pulley groans. The rope holds. I spit out a mouthful of dirty water, kick hard with both legs underwater, and push the door raft inch by inch toward the clinic. Fighting the current is brutal. Broken crates, dead rats, and bloated animal carcasses slam into me along the current. After swimming more than 60 feet out, a massive wave crashes in, carrying a jagged broken log straight at my head. If that thing connects, it will split my skull open. No time to dodge. I release one hand fast, yank hard on the rope at my waist, and let the pulley drag me. My body shifts sideways through the water by about 1.5 feet. The log crashes into the door raft with a boom. Splinters fly. The raft dips hard and nearly flips. I throw my weight onto the other end to stabilize it, but I go completely under, swallowing a mouthful of filth. I cough my way back to the surface, gripping the raft with everything I have. The radar in my mind is still running. The gold dot is getting closer. 90 feet, 120, 150. There. Ahead is a 2-story building, mostly swallowed by the flood. The first-floor clinic is completely underwater, the surface sitting about 10 feet above the clinic windows. The current forms a wide whirlpool here, constantly pulling debris downward. I wrap the nylon rope twice around an exposed utility pole and tie a quick release knot. Underwater, it is pitch black. Mud and grit press into my eyes. I just close them, trusting the radar to guide me. On the radar map, my own blue dot is closing in fast on the gold dot. Water pressure crushes against my eardrums with a steady ring. I feel my way along the wall downward, avoiding the shattered window frame, and squeeze into the clinic. Inside, toppled medicine cabinets and 4 tubes drift in every direction. I push through the wreckage, following the radar to the back of the pharmacy. The gold dot is right there. My hand finds something cold and heavy, a safe, about waist height, embedded solidly in the wall. The door is lined with thick rubber sealing strips. A serious waterproof unit. I find the keyhole. It is an old-style mechanical dial combined with a pin tumbler lock. Without the code, there is no way in, unless you are a master machinist. I can disassemble the most precise machinery with my eyes closed. What is one cheap lock? I pull the screwdriver and bent steel wire from my waist. I have been holding my breath for over a minute. My lungs feel like they are on fire. Time is running out. I insert the screwdriver along the edge of the keyhole, apply tension to the lock core, then slide the steel wire deep inside. Underwater, everything comes down to fingertip feel. The wire finds the first pin. I press upward with the lightest touch. My fingertip catches the faintest tremor. The first pin sets. On to the second, the third. My lungs are out of air. My chest feels ready to burst. My temples throb. But my hands do not shake, not even a tremor. The wire works fast. Last pin. I flick my wrist, drive the screwdriver hard. Click. The lock core turns, the safe is open. I yank the iron door wide, tear open the sealed plastic bag inside, and feel a stack of cardboard boxes. The radar dot blazes. Confirmed. Antibiotics and antiseptics. No time to check further. I grab the medicine and stuff it all into the waterproof pouch against my chest and tie it shut. Got the medicine. Nearly 2 full minutes underwater now. Lungs completely empty. A metallic taste floods the back of my throat. Every instinct screams at me to open my mouth. I cannot breathe in. One mouthful of this water and it is over. I drive both legs off the floor and rocket upward. 2 feet. 1 foot. Then, the radar in my mind fires a silent alarm. The radar map erupts. 3 deep red dots slam into view, blazing like warning lights. face. They are moving fast, cutting in from the left and closing in on me. I am less than 3 feet from the surface. One pull upward and I could breathe, but a hand shoots out from below, clamps around my right ankle, and drags me down hard. I twist sideways, yanked back into the murky deep. My lungs are at zero. The pressure in my chest is like a fire burning inside me. My ears fill with the gurgling of dark water bubbles. I clamp my mouth shut and look down. 3 black figures have closed in around me, all 3 wearing makeshift diving goggles. The one in the middle gripping a fully inflated large black inner tube. That is how they stay neutrally buoyant. They can also press their mouths to the valve and steal a breath of stored air. No wonder they can hold position in deep water. I know exactly who these are, Rex's crew. Since the neighborhood flooded, these thugs have been looting everything in sight. They had their eyes on that clinic safe, and I walked right into their trap. The one gripping my ankle uses the inner tube's buoyancy to surge upward, and reaches straight for the waterproof pouch on my chest. They are here for the medicine. I bend my left leg and drive a hard kick at his face, but the water resistance is too great. The kick lands soft, only grazing his shoulder. The thug opens his mouth and spits a stream of bubbles, then pulls a rusted butcher knife from his waist and slashes at the strap of my chest pouch. The blade drives straight toward my throat. This thug is going for the kill and does not care about the consequences. I twist my body hard to dodge. The blade rakes across my left arm. A sharp sting. A thin trail of blood blooms in the dark water. The cut is not deep, but an infection from this filthy water could be fatal. My vision darkens. My head pounds. Oxygen deprivation is slowing me down. The 3 of them are in no hurry at all. They have numbers. They have the inner tube for air. They plan to suffocate me underwater, then take the medicine off my body. The one with the knife closes in again. The other 2 fan out to his left and right, completely cutting off any path upward. I clench my jaw and slip my right hand quietly to the heavy-duty screwdriver I use to crack the safe, the most reliable tool I have as a master machinist. The tip ground to a needle-sharp point. I lock my eyes onto that large black inner tube. Everything these thugs have down here depends on that tube. Kill it, and all 3 of them are finished. I stop struggling. I let myself drift downward like I am spent. The one gripping my ankle thinks I am done. He pulls hard, trying to drag me all the way to the bottom. I use the pull instead of fighting it, sliding like a fish straight toward the one with the knife. We are face to face in an instant. The knife man raises his blade toward my thigh. Now, I ignore the knife. I drive my right hand, screwdriver locked in a death grip, past his shoulder and jam it straight into the fully inflated inner tube with every last bit of strength I have. A muffled pop. I yank the screwdriver out. High-pressure air erupts underwater, a boiling white cloud of bubbles exploding outward, blasting all 3 of them square in the face. The force of the burst is so strong they cannot open their eyes. The inner tube deflates in an instant. Buoyancy gone. All 3 thugs drop. The knife man closest to the blast is forced to open his mouth. A mouthful of black, putrid water shoots straight down his throat. He convulses underwater, coughing violently. Both hands clawed his own throat. The knife is long gone, sinking to the bottom. The other 2 see the tube is destroyed and their partner is drowning. Every drop of fight drains out of them. Stealing medicine is the last thing on their minds. They release me instantly and claw desperately for the surface. The moment I am free, I drive both legs off the rubble below and rocket upward like a shot. With a crash, I burst through the surface, gulping down lungful after lungful of rain-soaked air. The burning in my chest finally eases. I wipe the black water from my face and look back. 3 heads bob up on the surface. The 3 thugs are thrashing wildly, coughing and spitting out filthy water, too spent to even think about chasing me. I do not waste a second. I grab the thick nylon rope I tied around my waist before leaving, the other end of which is anchored hard to the load-bearing column of my balcony on the 6th floor. I haul myself hand over hand back along the rope, dragging the supplies and climbing back home to treat the wound. Lily is on her feet, leaning against the wall, belly heavy, face drained of color, already holding out a dry towel. I do not bother wiping my head. I reach into my chest and pull out the medicine box wrapped in layer after layer of protection. I pop out 2 antibiotic tablets, hand them to Lily with half a cup of warm water, and tell her to take them now. Lily swallows the tablets, without a word, then touches my ice-cold arm, eyes going red. She asks if I am hurt, says watching from up here scared her half to death. I wipe my face. I'm fine. Those little thugs got a stomach full of black water. I peel off my soaked jacket and drop it. I look out the window. Nearly dark. Rain still falling. Trash floating on the dark water. I say, Rex and his crew took a beating tonight. They are not going to let it go. I walk to the security door and pull at the handle. This door will not hold them. They will definitely come back tonight looking for trouble. We need to seal this place completely. Lily's hands tighten on her clothes. Then what do? We only have one door and the balcony is wide open. I say, stay calm. Leave it to me. I close my eyes. A chime sounds. The supply salvage radar activates. A translucent screen materializes in my mind. I set the scan range to the flooded floors below and set the target to metal building materials. Dots of light immediately flare up on the screen. Down on the 3rd floor, about 10 feet underwater, there is a security window grate that the flood tore loose from the wall, and lying beside it, several thick steel rebar rods. I open my eyes, find a length of thick nylon rope, tie one end around my waist and the other hard to the balcony column and say, I am going back down one more time, going to bring something up. Instructions given, I take a deep breath and throw myself back into the black water, underwater, cold and dark. I follow the radar straight down. I quickly find the warped security grate. It is heavy. I lash the grate and the steel rebar rods together tightly with rope, kick hard off the wall, and swim upward. I surface, catch my breath, then use both hands and feet to drag the whole heavy load onto my balcony. I wipe the mud off the steel with a rag and head to the storage room. I haul out 2 high-capacity electric scooter batteries I had saved up, then dig out 2 lengths of thick copper wire. Lily stands beside me holding the flashlight and asks quietly, What are you doing? The power's out. The drill won't work. I do not look up. My hands keep moving as I say, Don't need the drill. I'm gonna weld it shut. I wire the 2 batteries in series to boost the voltage, then crack open several old large dry cell batteries and pull out the carbon rods inside. One end of the copper wire goes to the battery terminals. The other end wraps tight around the carbon rod. A makeshift short-circuit spot welder. Done. I stand the salvage security grate upright in the open gap on the balcony and wedge the steel rebar rods behind the wooden door. I put on a pair of beat-up dark goggles, carbon rod in hand, and tell Lily to close her eyes and look away from the light. I drive the carbon rod hard into the joint between the rebar and the door frame. A sharp hiss. A blinding blue-white arc blazes to life. Sparks fly everywhere. The heat fuses the steel rebar directly into the door frame's metal lining. My wrist stays dead steady, the carbon rod moving fast along each joint. The crackling of current fills the room without stopping. The sharp smell of scorched metal spreads through the air. With the skill of a master machinist, in under half an hour, the balcony gap is sealed solid with the iron grate. 4 thick steel bars are welded in a cross pattern behind the front door. That door cannot be forced open now, even with a sledgehammer. When the welding is done, I do not stop. I collect several empty beer bottles and smash them into sharp fragments with the hammer. Then I find long strips of wood and nail the glass shards in place with the jagged edges facing up. Spike boards. I carry them along the outer edge of the balcony, into every corner, every window gap, and fix each one with heavy glue and wire. Anyone trying to climb up from the outside puts a hand down and it goes straight through. Midnight. Rain hammers against the glass, a constant sharp rattle. The room is pitch black. I send Lily back to bed and position myself behind the balcony door, sharpened steel pipe in hand, every sense tuned and listening. Past 2 in the morning, the faint sound of splashing rises from the water below, like someone paddling. I look through the gaps in the iron grate. In the thin moonlight, 3 or 4 dark shapes lie flat on a large wooden plank, slowly closing in on my 6th-floor balcony. Leading them is the bald head of Rex, a dirty rag tied around his head, long pry bar in hand, cursing low. Keep it down, all of you. That punk played us today. Tonight we are going to tear his place apart from top to bottom, and drag his woman out too. The plank drifts directly below the balcony. One of the crew puts a knife between his teeth and starts climbing the outer wall drain pipe, pulling himself up to the balcony's edge. He reaches out his right hand to grip the concrete ledge and haul himself over. The moment his hand lands, a shriek rips through the night sky. His palm presses straight down onto the spike board I set up. The jagged glass punches straight through his flesh. He convulses from the pain, loses his grip, and drops straight down, crashing into the black water below with a massive splash. Rex erupts with curses from the plank and shines a flashlight upward. He freezes. The balcony now has an entire layer of rusted iron grate that was not there before, welded completely solid. The underside and edges of the grate are lined with row after row of glittering glass shards. Rex grits his teeth, refusing to accept it. Move! 2 of you go through the stairwell and pry open his front door. 1 hit with the pry bar and that door is done. 2 crew members swim into the stairwell and climb the half-flooded stairs to the 6th-floor door. The pry bar crashes against my security door with a heavy clang. The door does not move. The impact sends a numbing vibration up the man's hands. He shines a flashlight through the door gap and calls back out. Rex, it's no good. There are steel bars welded behind this door, thick as thumbs. There is no way through. Rex turns red in the face and his neck goes tight with rage. He stands on the plank and screams up at the balcony, calling me a coward hiding in his shell, telling me to come out if I have the guts, saying he thinks hiding in an iron shell means I am safe. I give a cold laugh and say nothing. I push the sharpened steel pipe through the gap in the iron grate, aim at one of the crew on the plank below, and drive it straight down. The tip punches into his shoulder. He yelps, twists sideways, loses his footing and plunges into the water with a heavy splash. The plank rocks violently. Rex loses his balance and drops flat, clinging to the edge, half his body dunked in the cold water. He stares up at the 6th floor. The apartment has turned into a fortress covered in spikes. Any direct assault means ending up in the water. He chokes down his rage and retreats. Rex, soaking from the waist down, shivering hard in the cold water, clinging to the edge of the plank, stares up at that 6th-floor balcony bristling with iron spikes, grinding his back teeth to the point of cracking. The man in the water clutches his bleeding shoulder and groans. Rex, we can't get through. This guy has welded his place into an iron fortress. Rex slams his palm against the water in fury. Fall back. We fall back now. Marcus, you just wait. Let's see how many days that little stash of food lasts you. Once you starve down to nothing will come finish this. They paddle the plank hard and disappear into the pitch-black rainy night. I stand behind the iron grate on the balcony, sharpened pipe in hand, watching the ripples on the water go still. I do not take Rex's threat seriously. These people can barely find food to eat right now. Their strength is only going to get worse. They cannot outlast me. I turn and lean the pipe against the wall. Lily comes out of the bedroom, belly heavy, and quickly drapes a dry towel over my shoulders. Her face is pale. The banging outside scared her badly. Lily whispers, "Marcus, are they gone?" I wipe off the rainwater and guide Lily to sit on the edge of the bed. "They're gone." I put one of them down. "They will not be back for a few days. Don't be scared. Not even a fly can get into this place now." Lily rubs her belly and sighs. "When is this water ever going to go down? The radio just said it is still pouring upstream. The ironworks factory is completely flooded. What kind of life are we supposed to have after this?" I know she is right. This flood is not going anywhere for at least 2 weeks. And even when it does, the hundreds of machines at the ironworks factory will all be ruined. The factory will have to shut down. Counting on a paycheck to support a wife and child is a pipe dream now. The future is going to take real money, hard assets. Food alone is not enough. Rebuilding after a disaster. Everything takes capital. A place flashes into my mind. 2 streets over from this building, there is a commercial strip. On the corner, a pawn shop. The day the flood hit, the owner ran in such a panic that the heavy safe was left behind, buried somewhere in the wreckage. I close my eyes and call up the supply salvage radar. A soft tone. The virtual screen flickers on. I set the search filter to precious metals and expand the range. The screen sweeps with green light. 500 meters to the northwest, a blazing gold dot appears immediately. Depth reading beside it. 7.5 meters underwater. That is the one. I open my eyes sharp and bright. That is the foundation for rebuilding our life after this flood. No way am I letting anyone else get to it. No matter what you hear, stay inside. I get up and head to the storage room. I need to go out one more time. Lily grabs my arm in a panic. "It's pitch black out there. The water is so deep. Where are you going?" I pat her hand. "Going to pull up something useful. Trust me, I know exactly what I'm doing." I find a thick nylon rope and tie one end around my waist with a hard knot. Then I dig out a heavy iron wrench and a short pry bar and pack them into the tool pouch at my waist. 7 meters down, the buoyancy is strong. Without counterweight, I will not be able to stay submerged. I go to the balcony, push open the small hinged access panel in the iron grate, take a long breath of cold air, and slip into the water without a sound. Smooth as a fish. The cold hits hard and sends a shiver straight through me. Rain is still falling. The surface is littered with rotting timber, plastic basins, and dead rats. The air is thick with the stench of mud and rot, sharp enough to make your face twist. I dodge the large debris and swim toward the commercial strip using what little moonlight there is. I am a strong swimmer, and with the radar guiding me, getting lost is not a concern. 20 minutes of swimming later, I stop. The radar shows the gold dot is directly below me. The rooftops of submerged buildings surround me on all sides. The pawn shop used to be on the first floor. Now it sits buried under more than 20 feet of murky water. I tread water and breathe deep, filling my lungs to capacity. I think it through. 7 meters down. Fighting that water pressure is going to be rough. I have to move fast, in and out. I grip the iron wrench at my waist, tuck my chin hard, kick off the surface with both legs, and drop straight down like a stone. 1 meter, 2 meters, 3. Underwater, black as pitch, nothing but murky water in every direction. I close my eyes and let the radar's gold dot guide me. At 4 meters, trouble hits. Water pressure spikes hard. My chest feels like a boulder is sitting on it. My ears feel like needles are driving through them. I pinch my nose and force air outward to equalize the pressure. A deep buzz. The pain eases just slightly. I keep going. 5 meters. 6. I am at my limit. My lungs are on fire. My arms and legs are going weak. Then my toe touches something solid. The bottom. I open my eyes. Everything around me is darkness. I reach out. Nothing but rotting mud and broken brick. The pawn shop's front wall was demolished by the flood long ago. The radar shows the gold dot less than half a meter ahead of me, buried under the rubble. I crawl forward, feeling my way. My fingers find a large concrete slab. The gold light bleeds out from underneath it. I try to push, but there is no leverage underwater. Oxygen deprivation makes my head swim. Stars erupt across my vision. I cannot do it. I have to go up and breathe. I drive both legs against the bricks on the bottom and kick hard for the surface. With a crash I burst through, throat wide open, gulping in cold air as fast as my lungs can take it. The cold wind makes me cough hard. What a grueling fight. I wipe the stinking water from my face, grit my teeth, and rest for 3 minutes. Heart rate steady again. I take one more deep breath and go back under. This time I know what to expect. I descend faster, pushing through the sharp pain in my ears. I land directly beside the concrete slab. I pull the short pry bar from my waist and feel along the slab's edge until I find a gap. I drive the pry bar in hard. Both hands grip the other end. Both feet brace against the broken wall beside me. I push down with everything I have. Without solid footing underwater, it all comes from my core. A deep groan, a muffled crack. The slab shifts, opening a gap about 6 inches wide. I drop the pry bar and plunge my hand into the mud, digging fast, mud and broken glass slicing across my fingers in several places. I do not stop. Then, my fingers hit something cold and solid, metal, the outline of a combination dial, a waterproof safe. My heart surges. I grip the edges of the safe with both hands and pull with everything I have. The box is heavy. It is lodged in the mud and will not budge. My breath hold is now past a minute and a half. My lungs are cramping, oxygen nearly gone. I dig deep. I clench my jaw and push to my absolute limit. I bend both knees and brace my feet against the bricks on either side of the gap. The muscles in my arms swell and lock. I wrench backward with one explosive pull. A deep sucking pop. The safe tears free from the mud. I wrap both arms around it and kick upward with everything my legs have. The safe is brutally heavy, at least 30 to 40 pounds. Every foot of upward progress costs me. My vision dims. I am on the edge of blacking out. Just as I am about to open my mouth and let the water in, I break the surface. I roll onto my back, clutching the safe, gasping in great heaves of air. I did it. After a long rest, I untie the nylon rope and thread it through the handle of the safe, knotting it tight. Then I drag the heavy box back the way I came. The return journey is long. I am completely drained, barely paddling. By the time I find the outer wall of my building, dawn is almost breaking. I climb the drain pipe up to the 6th floor, heave the safe up onto the balcony first, then climb in after it. Lily hears the noise and comes running out. "Marcus, you're finally back." She takes one look at me, covered in mud, fingers bleeding, and her eyes go red. She grabs a dry towel and presses it to my head. I'm fine, not hurt. I drop to the floor, catching my breath, and point to the mud-caked iron box beside me. I flash a grin. "Look what I brought back." Lily shines the flashlight on it and startles. "Is that a safe?" "A little gift left behind by the pawnshop owner." I rest up, then head to the tool room for the sledgehammer and a steel chisel. The safe is tough, but it has been sitting underwater for too long. I set the chisel against the warped seam on the side of the box and swing the sledgehammer. Sparks fly with every strike. The seam widens. I drop the hammer, drive the pry bar into the gap, and push down hard. A sharp crack. The lock mechanism snaps completely. The heavy iron door springs open a crack. I pull it wide. Inside sits a thick waterproof sealed bag. Not a drop of water got in. I tear it open and dump it onto the floor. With a rush, more than a dozen gold bars and a stack of cash spill out, gleaming in the dim light. I wrap the gold bars in a piece of clothing, stuff them into the iron box under the bed, and lock it. Once the flood recedes, with these hard assets in hand, the three of us will be set. Lily stares at the gold bars. She finally exhales. But then she turns and looks at the muddy yellow water outside, and the worry is back. "Marcus, we have money now, but the rainwater we collected is almost gone. That water out there stinks. There is no way to drink it." I tell her not to worry, go to the storage room, and haul out a large plastic bucket that used to hold paint. I punch several small holes in the bottom with an awl, lay clean gauze across the holes, then add a layer of crushed charcoal, a layer of fine washed sand, and a layer of small stones on top. I say, "Makeshift water filter, done." I pour a basin of pre-settled murky water into the bucket. The water seeps through the stones, sand, and charcoal, and drips out the bottom completely clear, not a trace of the muddy smell. I say, "Filter it and boil it. Absolutely safe to drink." I fill a bowl and hand it to her. Lily takes a sip and her eyes light up. "It's true. No strange taste at all." She hurries happily into the kitchen and comes back with an aluminum lunchbox. It is packed full of bright yellow bean sprouts, grown from half a bag of soybeans I found a few days ago, which Lily sprouted every day by wrapping them in a damp cloth. I heat the pan, pour in oil, cut the luncheon meat into big chunks and toss them in. They hit the pan with a sizzle. I throw in the bean sprouts and toss everything together. Meat and sprouts. The smell hits you and your mouth fills with water instantly. The two of us eat the hot stir-fry and drink warm boiled water, cheeks flushing warm and pink. Meanwhile, downstairs, it is a different world entirely. On the 5th floor stairwell, Rex and 3 of his crew huddle on the bare concrete floor, shaking, days without food. They are so thirsty their throats are burning. They can't hold out any longer. They scoop the muddy yellow floodwater with a ladle and drink it straight. The moment the raw water hits their stomachs, all 4 of them get hit with severe diarrhea, more than 10 times a day. They can barely stand. Blondie rolls on the floor clutching his stomach. "Boss, I'm done. The pain is like a blade twisting inside me. My pants are..." Rex drives a kick into Blondie's stomach. "Stop whining. I'm starving too. I'm hurting too." Beanpole stares at the ceiling, eyes burning with desperation. "There's definitely food up on the 6th floor. I just caught a whiff of it. Meat. Boss, we can't just sit here and die. Let's go at him." Blondie gasps through the pain. "Go at him? With what? That guy has a security door welded shut. Iron bars on every window. We can't even get near the door." Rex's eyes have gone bloodshot. He reaches into his chest and pulls out a crude explosive wrapped tight in black tape. A short fuse sticks out from the top. Gunpowder he stole from a mine years ago. Rex grinds his teeth, snarling, "Damn it, you welded the door shut? I'll blast through the wall. Anyone who wants me dead, I'll take them down with me." In the dead of night, Rex leads Blondie and Beanpole up the stairwell to the 6th floor landing. Rex presses himself against the wall in the dark and plants the crude explosive against the load-bearing wall beside the doorframe. If the wall comes down, no security door can save us. Inside, I'm dozing against the headboard when a sharp ping fires off in my skull. The supply salvage radar throws up an alert. I snap my eyes open. 3 red dots on the radar display right outside the door. The scan shows the lead dot is holding a high-risk explosive. I roll out of bed. No axe. These lunatics have explosives. If they blow this place, Lily gets hurt. To handle these guys, I need a different weapon. I yank open the drawer and dig out a black flood response walkie-talkie. No signal, but the speaker is brutally loud. I move to the door, crank the volume all the way up, and press the talk button. I blast a sharp whistle, then drop my voice low and commanding. All units, attention. Rescue boats have surrounded Block 3. Suspicious activity detected on the 6th floor. Possible sabotage. I release the button. The walkie-talkie erupts with a massive burst of static. I switch to a gruff voice and bark back. Squad 1 copies. Stairwell is sealed. Then I growl into the radio. Take down the ringleader on sight. The sound detonates through the corridor like a fleet of rescue boats blaring from below. The 3 men outside are already rattled. One blast of that noise and their nerve shatters completely. The uniforms are here! Blondie's legs give out. He drops to the floor and scrambles downstairs screaming, "Run! We're dead if they catch us!" Beanpole bolts so fast he loses a shoe and never looks back. "Get back here, you spineless cowards!" Rex rages. But the corridor is nothing but echoing radio chatter, and even Rex's courage starts to crack. His calves are shaking. He's gripping the lighter, hands already trembling from hunger. Then the broadcast jolts him and his thumb snaps the striker wheel. The flame catches the very short fuse. A hiss. Sparks race along the cord and tear straight toward the explosive. Rex's eyes go wide. He grabs for the fuse, but his hands are shaking too hard to obey. He tries to grab the explosive and hurl it down the stairwell. His foot slips and he crashes into the filthy floodwater below. A deep muffled boom. Fire and thick smoke punch through the corridor. The shockwave shatters every window. The crude explosive fails to breach my load-bearing wall, but it blows straight through the waterlogged floor between the 5th and 6th floors, leaving a gaping hole. Smoke and the acrid smell of burning seep through the door cracks. I press my eye to the peephole. The staircase below has been blown clean away. Nothing left but a black pit. Below, muddy water churns. Rex doesn't even make a ripple. He drops straight in and feeds the fish. I let out a long breath and wipe the sweat from my face. These living nightmares are finally gone. The welded security door held. I am just about to pour Lily a glass of water to calm her nerves when a sound comes from the bed. Soft but razor sharp, like a water balloon bursting. "Marcus!" Lily's voice trembles with panic. I set down the cup and cross the room in 2 strides. The flashlight beam hits Lily. She's white as a sheet, both hands locked onto the edge of the bed, knuckles drained of color. Her whole body is curled inward, drenched in sweat, hair plastered to her face. She looks like she's just been pulled from the flood. It hurts so bad. The water came out. Lily bites her lip, words breaking apart from the pain, her whole body shaking. I look down. Her pants are soaked through. A wide dark stain spreads across the sheet and drips down the side of the bed. Her water has broken. Outside, the floodwater is several meters deep. Getting to a hospital is a fantasy. It's just the 2 of us in this crumbling building, still more than half a month from her due date, but the blast just scared the baby into coming early. My head rings. My heart hammers. I clench my back teeth and force myself to stay calm. Outside is a death trap. This room is the only way through. I shove down the panic and keep my voice steady. "Don't be afraid, Lily, I've got you. We're delivering this baby right here." I grip her ice-cold hand, trying to push some warmth into it. I spin around, throw open the storage box, yank out thick plastic sheets and 2 old bed sheets, help her raise her hips, and spread everything out beneath her in quick, clean movements. Then I dart to the table, fire up the portable gas stove, set the iron pot on top, fill it with clean water, and drop scissors, white cotton cloth, and cotton thread straight in to sterilize. While the water heats, I grab brown sugar and dissolve it in hot water, then carry it to the bedside. "Drink this, Lily. Sweet water builds strength. Labor takes everything you've got." Lily manages 2 sips from my hand before another brutal wave of contractions hits. She moans through her teeth, fingers raking deep creases into the sheet, legs kicking without stop. I grab a towel and wipe the sweat from her face, then pour half a bottle of rubbing alcohol over my hands and scrub from between every finger up to my wrists until my skin is raw and red. Lily gasps for air. "Marcus, it hurts so much. I can feel the baby pressing down, but nothing's happening." Tears and sweat pour down her face together. I snatch up the obstetric emergency manual I salvaged earlier and flip through it fast. The book is clear. The biggest danger in early labor is a bad fetal position. If the feet come first and there's no way to operate, both mother and baby can die. Cold sweat breaks across my forehead. No ultrasound machine. No way to know what's happening inside. I clench my jaw and close my eyes. I activate the supply salvage radar in my head. Normally it cuts through murky floodwater to find supplies. Tonight it has one job: save lives. I push the power to maximum and narrow the range to a pinpoint, locking it onto Lily's swollen belly. The radar display blazes to life before my eyes. Waves of light cut through skin and muscle. A sharp 3-dimensional image of the womb projects into my mind. A tiny baby curled inside, head down. Fetal position is perfect. The radar even picks up the heart, no bigger than a pinky fingernail, beating strong. I start to breathe again when the radar flashes red. I zoom in, and my heart leaps back into my throat. A section of umbilical cord is draped loosely alongside the baby's neck. If Lily pushes too hard and the baby surges down, that cord will wrap tight and cut off the airway. I crouch at the foot of the bed, both hands steady and ready. "Lily, listen to me. The fetal position is perfect. Head is down, but do not force it. Follow my commands, and we go slow." Lily shakes all over from the pain, strands of hair stuck across her face. She bites down on the clean towel I press to her mouth and gives a painful nod. I call out commands and keep my eyes locked on the radar. Deep breath, in and out. The tiny body shifts inch by inch through the birth canal with every breath Lily takes. The radar shows she is fully dilated. This is the critical moment. The water in the pot rolls to a boil. I use chopsticks to fish out the scissors and cotton cloth and set them on a clean plate to cool. The room fills with nothing but heavy, ragged breathing. One push, nothing moves. Two pushes, still stuck. Sweat soaks my head, but I won't rush her. I keep my eyes on the radar and guide her over and over. In the radar display, the baby's head creeps slowly toward the opening. The cord draped beside its neck pulls taut. The red warning light strobes fast. I shout, my voice shaking. Stop! Do not push! Lily sucks in air, white knuckles the bed frame, and fights to hold back the urge to bear down. I watch the radar as the tension on the cord drops, and the cord loosens just a fraction. Push now, slow, slower. After an agonizing back and forth, the top of the baby's head finally appears. The cord has looped a half turn around the right side of the neck. I move fast, one sterilized index finger extended, sliding carefully along the baby's neck, finding the cord, and with the lightest flick, looping it free. The cord slips clear, the red light vanishes. That's it, Lily. The cord is free. One last push, give it everything. Veins stand out on her forehead. Lily throws her head back and cries out, both hands locked on the bed frame, body arching upward, and a tiny baby slides free, landing safe and solid into my hands. I grab the white cotton cloth and wipe away the fluid fast, then pick up the sterilized scissors and cut the umbilical cord with a clean snip, tying it off tight with cotton thread. The little one has her eyes shut, arms and legs curled in, not making a sound. I turn the baby over, hold her head down, and give her tiny foot, barely the size of my thumb, a gentle tap. She lets out a loud, sharp cry. That first wail fills the room like a thunderclap. I carefully wrap the baby in a swaddle and tuck her into Lily's arms. I find a worn cotton jacket that's still clean enough and wrap the little girl up tight, settling her gently against Lily. Lily leans back against the headboard, hair soaked through, face drained white, lips cracked and dry. She forces herself to look at the baby, manages a weak smile, then her head lolls to one side. I step across and catch her, pressing my hand to her forehead. My stomach drops. She's burning up. This ruined building is covered in black mold. A woman is at her most vulnerable right after giving birth. A high fever here, cut off from everything, means death. The little girl whimpers with her eyes shut, like a newborn kitten. There's no warm food here, let alone milk. We have to leave today. I get up and go to the window. Outside, yellow-brown floodwater churns. Dead animals and rotting wood bob across the surface. This water is poison. Every second we stay is a risk. I turn and dig out the broken planks and table legs left over from when I smashed the door earlier, and pile them in the most visible spot on the balcony. Then grab a few old cotton rags. Just fire won't be enough. I need thick smoke. I find a plastic bucket of used engine oil and pour it all over the rags, then flick the lighter. A deep whoosh. Flames leap high. Wet wood meets engine oil, and thick black smoke billows straight up into the sky, visible from far away. But smoke alone isn't enough. Wind can scatter it. I need something that reflects light. I close my eyes and switch on the supply salvage radar. The pale blue ring sweeps down through the floors below. There, under the waterline on the third floor, a large wardrobe. Its door has a full-length mirror set into it. I strip off my outer shirt without a word and rope my way down to the third floor. I kick out the rotted window frame and wade into the room through waist-deep filth. The water is full of mud and bodies. The stench is overwhelming. I fight back the urge to gag, reach the wardrobe, pull out my wrench, and swing it at the mirror frame hard. I pick out the largest triangular shard of glass, wrap the sharp edges in cloth, and climb back up. Back on the top floor balcony, sweat pouring down my face, I raise the shard and angle it toward the sun. Lucky today, a crack in the clouds lets a few thin rays through. Right then, a low hum drifts in from the distance. My ears are sharp. I squint south and catch a tiny black dot moving several kilometers away. An official rescue helicopter. My pulse spikes. I hold the glass shard up with both hands, lock it onto the sun, and angle the reflection toward the helicopter. A blinding beam of light flashes across the sky. Too far. No reaction from the helicopter. I spread my feet and plant myself, both hands driving the shard up and down in hard, desperate strokes. The beam strobes through the air. One flash, two flashes, three. The black smoke on the balcony roars higher. Look over here! Look over here! I grit my teeth, wrists burning and shaking. I don't dare stop. Finally, the pilot picks up the signal. The helicopter banks hard in midair and flies straight toward the building. The rotor blades kick up a wall of wind that sends the black smoke spinning in all directions. The helicopter hovers at an angle overhead. A loudspeaker blasts out, rattling my eardrums. Survivors on the upper floors, stay where you are. A rescue boat is on its way. The loudspeaker booms again, repeating the warning to hold position. Inside, Lily's eyes go red. Tears stream down her face. I drop the glass shard and run inside, grabbing her hand with both of mine. Lily, did you hear hear that? We're saved. Our baby girl is saved. Lily nods, too weak to speak, but her fingers squeeze back tight. Less than 20 minutes later, the roar of an engine rises from the water below. A steady thud 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 drowns out the current. I lean out and look. A red and white steel rescue boat is cutting through the floodwater at full speed, throwing up white waves at the bow. 2 crew members in life jackets stand at the bow, holding long poles and iron grappling ropes. One of them raises a megaphone and shouts, "Hey up there! Open the windows and clear the space. Get ready to catch the rope." I kick all the clutter off the balcony and shout back into the room, "Lily, wrap the baby up tight in the blanket. Get ready to board." The rescue boat closes in fast. The bow is almost level with the second floor platform. I've already mapped our route down in my head. The moment the rope lands, I can slide down to meet them. But right at that moment, from somewhere beneath the waterline, comes a grinding, tearing roar. An awful sound, like 2 massive iron sheets being ripped apart, sharp enough to set your teeth on edge. Then, the stern bucks violently upward. The whole boat lurches. The man with the megaphone loses his footing and nearly pitches headfirst into the floodwater, only saved because the man next to him shoots out a hand and grabs the back of his collar. Puff! Puff, puff. The exhaust pipe at the stern spits bursts of black smoke. The engine roar drops to a stuttering wheeze, and then with one final click, goes completely silent. The engine is dead. The powerless rescue boat is instantly swallowed by the current and starts to spin. The bow swings sideways. What happened? "Lou, why did the engine cut out?" The crew member at the bow shouts in a panic, fingers locked onto the side rail. Old Lou leans half his body out of the wheelhouse, drenched in sweat, and bellows, "Propeller is seized. Something's caught underneath. Can't push through. Reverse. Try reversing. Reverse nothing. The lever is completely locked. It's wound so tight there's not a hair of space left." Lou slams his fist on the helm in frustration, face flushed dark red. The waterway below is a minefield. Utility poles and steel rebar buried deep in the muddy water. Nobody knows what deadly thing is lurking down there. Then a savage gust drives a wall of floodwater straight at the boat. With a tremendous crash, the wave slams into the side of the hull. Water sprays more than 2 meters into the air. The boat tips hard to the right, the rail nearly kissing the surface. The crew scrambles to the left side, throwing their weight against the rail, barely dragging the boat back level. But the current keeps building, shoving the rescue boat steadily backward. A broken concrete pillar jutting from the water is getting closer by the second. If the hull hits that pillar, it'll punch straight through the steel. The boat is pinned right in the throat of the flood surge. It could flip any second. I'm standing at the broken second floor window, jaw locked tight. Outside, the brown floodwater churns like a boiling pot. The steel rescue boat is being shoved backward by the surge. Less than 20 meters now from that half-submerged concrete pillar. If it hits, the hull gets punched through on the spot. Everyone on board feeds the fish. If this boat goes down, Lily, our newborn baby girl, and I have no way out of here. The water is still rising. This crumbling building won't last. This boat is our only chance. I turn and stride back to the bed. Lily is clutching our newborn baby girl, face white as paper, eyes locked on me. "The boat's in trouble," I tell her. "Something in the water seized the propeller." I grab a dry shirt and pull it on. "I have to go down. That boat is the only way out for all 3 of us. I have to fix it. You'll die going in there." I reach back and take her hand. "I know what I'm doing. I'm a master machinist. Nobody knows machines better than me. Stay here. I'll be back for both of you. No more words." I spin to the toolbox in the corner, grab the heavy-duty hacksaw, spare blades, and the heavy bolt cutters, and wrap everything tight in an oilcloth. I use rope to lash the bundle firmly to my belt. I walk to the window, pull in a deep breath, push off with both legs, and dive straight into the murky floodwater. A deep, muffled splash. Ice-cold, muddy water floods into my ears instantly, the cold slamming through my whole body. The current is brutal. It feels like invisible hands pulling me down. I hold my breath and churn every limb, fighting toward the rescue boat. The surface is littered with broken planks, dead animals, and splintered branches, all hurtling downstream with the surge. A rotted beam comes riding a wave straight at my head. I plunge downward hard. The beam grazes my scalp as it flies past, leaving a raw sting. No time to feel it. I break the surface, grab a breath, and keep swimming. On the boat, chaos has broken out. The crew member at the bow is jumping up and down, voice cracking from shouting, screaming, "Lou, we're almost on it. 10 meters. Inside the wheelhouse, Lou is soaked in sweat, hauling back on the control lever with everything he has, but it doesn't budge. Might as well be welded in place. He slams his fist on the console. It won't move. Whatever's down there has it wound too tight. The engine chokes out black smoke. Right at that moment, a bang. The crew flinches and looks down. A person has surfaced from the water. A crew member shouts and tries to pry my hands off. "Who are you? You trying to get yourself killed? Let go, we're about to hit." I wipe the mud from my face with one hard swipe and shout back, "Don't touch me! Listen up! I'm a master machinist, I can cut it loose from below." Lou leans out of the wheelhouse and stares at me like I've lost my mind. It's pitch black down there. Nothing but rusted wire and rebar. Going under is suicide. You'll never cut through it. My eyes are bloodshot. I jab my finger at the concrete pillar looming closer behind the boat and roar, "Keep talking and everyone on this boat dies. 5 meters left. Give me a rope. Tie me to the stern. Now, hurry." Lou bites down hard. Nothing left to lose. He waves at the crew member and shouts, "Tie him up." A thick rope snaps down. My hands move fast and tie a solid knot around my waist. I suck in the biggest breath I can and drive myself headfirst under the stern. Below the surface, total darkness. The brown water is so churned up I can't see a thing. The current forms a massive vortex under the stern, yanking my body in every direction. I close my eyes. A sharp ping fires in my skull. The supply salvage radar kicks on instantly. The radar display blazes to life, and every metal structure around me resolves into a sharp three-dimensional map. Now I can see it clearly. A steel cable as thick as a wrist is wound tight around the propeller shaft, pulled in by the current, and it has bitten deep into the gap between the propeller and the main bearing, wrapped around a full 3 times, locked in with crushing force. If Lou had forced that lever from above, the steel cable would have shredded the main bearing clean apart, and the boat would have been finished on the spot. I burst through the surface, gasping hard, and shout up to Lou, "Get his hands off that lever, do not force it!" The cable is jammed into the bearing gap. Force it and the bearing explodes. Lou goes pale. He pulls his hands back immediately. I drag in another huge breath and plunge back under. I feel my way along the hull to the propeller. I lock my legs around a support strut, pinning my body against the pull of the current. I untie the tool bundle from my belt and pull out the heavy-duty hacksaw. Cutting a steel cable blind underwater normally means working purely by touch, but I have the radar. Under the scan, the stress points on the cable glow bright red. I don't need to see anything. I press the hacksaw blade onto the brightest point, the tightest bend in the cable, and start cutting. Underwater, all sound disappears. There is only the vibration of the blade transmitting through my palms, but I feel the intense metal-on-metal shudder running up the saw handle into my hands. The current is too strong. A surge hits. The hull lurches upward hard. The rope at my waist snaps taut and slams me into the iron hull below. A dull bang. A burst of pain through my shoulder. I grunt and lose a stream of air bubbles, but the hacksaw in my hand does not stop. It stays locked on the stress point, working back and forth. The steel cable is made of more than a dozen twisted strands of wire. Under the precise cutting, the outer strands begin to snap one by one. A sharp twang. The first strand goes. Another twang. The second snaps too. The oxygen in my lungs is nearly gone. My chest feels like it has a boulder on it, the pressure building into real pain. I push my hands faster. The muscles in my arms are as hard as iron. The radar shows one strand left, the inner core wire still biting down on the bearing. I drop the hacksaw, reach back, and yank out the heavy bolt cutters. Working blind, I jam the jaw of the cutters onto that last wire, plant both feet against the hull, wrap both hands around the handles, and drive every ounce of force I have into the cut. I scream in my head, "Break!" Every muscle erupts. The bolt cutters let out a sharp grinding screech of metal on metal. Then a clean, crisp snap carries through the water into my ears. The last core wire, sheared through by pure force, the cable goes slack in an instant, sliding off the propeller like a dead snake. The current takes it and it vanishes without a trace. On the radar display, the red glow around the propeller and main bearing disappears completely, replaced by steady green. Done. I kick hard with both legs and shoot up out of the water. I gasp in fresh air and wipe the mud from my face. I yell up at the wheelhouse with everything I have. "Lou, it's clear. Reverse gear. Full throttle." Lou's eyes go bloodshot. He grabs the gear lever, wrenches it back, then stomps the throttle to the floor. A roar. The diesel engine that was dead just moments ago unleashes a thunderous snarl. The exhaust pipe blasts a wall of black smoke. The propeller spins wildly underwater, churning up a massive spray of white water. With the stern less than half a meter from the deadly concrete pillar, the reverse thrust finally overcomes the current. The steel hull shudders, holds, and then begins to push forward. The crew member at the bow jumps up and down, eyes glistening, shouting, "She's moving! She's moving!" Lou grips the wheel with white knuckles and steers the boat to where the current runs a little calmer and brings her to a stop. Only then does he let out a long breath. He collapses into his seat, clothes soaked through with cold sweat. Several crew members rush to the stern and grab the rope together, hauling me up onto the deck. I'm soaked to the bone, shoulder bruise deep purple from slamming into the hull, blood seeping through the skin. I sit on the deck and drag in breath after breath, tossing the bolt cutters aside. Lou charges out of the wheelhouse, grabs my hand with both of his, lips trembling with emotion. "Man, what you just did, nobody else could have done that. Without you, every single person on this boat would have died out here. You saved all of us." The rescue crew crowds around, all of them thinking the same thing. In water this rough and this filthy, cutting a seized cable blind underwater without destroying the main bearing. That is not something an ordinary person can do. I wave them off and grab the rail to pull myself up. I point at the lone 2-story building not far away. My voice is quiet, but there is iron behind it. "Lou, my wife just gave birth up in that building. Baby girl. The building is almost underwater. They're both up there waiting for me." Lou follows my finger and spots a faint shape in the second-floor window. Lou doesn't hesitate. He slaps his thigh, spins toward the wheelhouse and shouts, "Turn her around. Head for that building. Keep it steady." The rescue boat engine roars back to life, exhaust pipe blasting black smoke, and pulls up smooth alongside the second-floor window. I plant both hands on the sill and flip inside. The ground floor is already flooded. Rotted wood and dead rats drift past the stairwell. This building has very little time left. The room is damp and suffocating. Lily is propped against the wall, arms locked tight around our newborn baby girl, face white as paper, hair plastered to her forehead. The moment she sees me walk in one piece, her eyes light up. I stride over. The boat is fixed. Lou is right below us. We leave now. I use my rough, calloused hand to wipe the cold sweat from her face. Lily nods hard, struggling to push herself up. I press her shoulder down gently. Don't move. I'll handle everything. You just hold the baby. There isn't much to pack. The one thing we cannot leave behind is the gold bars. More than a dozen solid gold bars I had risked my life to salvage from a submerged pawn shop. Once the flood receded, I planned to take Lily and the baby south to start a business, and every bit of that plan depends on this gold as starting capital. But gold bars are heavy, and loading and unloading with a waterproof bag means bumping and jostling. If anyone makes out the shape of what's inside, it becomes a death sentence on a boat full of desperate people. My eyes sweep the room and land on the worn baby blanket beside Lily. Lily had sewn it herself during the pregnancy, using old clothes. The cotton inside has gone stiff and lumpy. I use scissors to carefully pick open the stitching at one corner and pull the gold bars out one by one. This takes real precision. I'm a master machinist at the factory. My hands are built for exactly this. I measure the spacing with my fingers and lay the gold bars flat in the gaps between the lumps of cotton, keeping the center clear for the baby and spreading the bars across the four corners and edges. Once they're in place, I grab a thick needle and heavy thread and stitch the opening shut fast. Cross-lock stitches that pull tighter the harder you tug, tight and even all the way across. I squeeze the outside when I'm done. Not a single hard lump to feel through. The stiff cotton masks everything perfectly. A ping sounds in my head. The supply salvage radar activates. A field of golden dots appears before my eyes, arranged in perfect order inside the lining of the baby blanket. Every single bar accounted for. I shut the radar down, gently lift our newborn baby girl, lay her in the center of the blanket, and wrap her up snug and tight. More than a dozen gold bars plus a baby. The bundle is dead heavy in my arms. But who is going to search a newborn baby girl? This disguise is bulletproof. I pack up the rest of our things. I strip the labels off every can of luncheon meat so nothing draws attention. Several boxes of antibiotics get triple wrapped in plastic bags and tied off tight. The filter cartridges from the makeshift water filter go in too. In a shelter, those things are worth more than gold. I stuff everything into the large waterproof canvas bag and sling it onto my back. I bend down, scoop Lily up with the baby bundled against her chest, and hold her steady in my arms. I look down at her. Hold on tight. Lily locks both arms around my neck, face pressed against my chest. Lou is standing on the deck below, wiping rain from his face, craning his neck and shouting up, "Take your time and land it right, I've got her!" I watch the water and time the waves. I wait for the rescue boat to ride up to its highest point. There's a covered dry spot there, the most sheltered place on the whole boat. The cabin is packed with people, all survivors pulled from the water just recently, every one of them with purple lips from the cold, bodies caked in mud, eyes filled with fear and the raw greed of starvation. The moment Lily settles into the corner, the heavy-set man beside her starts making noise. He had been sprawled across two seats on his own, legs propped on the seat across from him. When Lou puts Lily there, it shoves him to the edge, half his body exposed to the rain. He glances at Lily, then at the bulging waterproof bag at her feet, and his eyes go sharp and nasty. He mutters under his breath, "What kind of princess brings this much junk while fleeing for her life? This boat is about to go under. You're hogging all this space, trying to get us all killed?" Lily tightens her grip on the baby and says nothing, pressing herself further into the corner. The fat man sees she won't fight back and grows bolder. He cranks up his voice to work the crowd. "Everyone take a look. We can't even find a place to stand, but this woman gets to sit pretty with her baby and take up a full seat. Who does she think she is?" A few soaked young men nearby start joining in. "Exactly. We're all trying to survive here. Why does she get special treatment?" The fat man starts deliberately shoving into Lily's space, thick elbow inching closer and closer to the baby blanket, about to force Lily out from under the cover and into the rain. Right at that moment, a massive bang. I drop straight from the second floor window and land hard on the deck. The boat shudders. Muddy water sprays everywhere. I find my footing in an instant, and see the fat man's dirty hand almost touching the baby. My vision goes red. The rage hits like a hammer. My clothes are soaked through, the bruise from slamming into the hull still seeping blood, my whole body radiating the cold violence of a man who just fought for his life underwater. I close the distance in one step, not a single word, left hand clamping onto the fat man's wrist like a steel vice. Years of working machinery have left my hands thick with calluses and terrifyingly strong. I twist hard against the fat man's joint in one sharp downward motion. A crisp snap. His eyes nearly bulge out of his head from the pain. He lets out a scream like a stuck pig. His knees buckle and he drops, straight onto the mud-soaked deck. The young men who were just shouting along go silent with shock. One of the bolder ones starts to rise. I don't even look at them. My right hand drops and scoops up the heavy bolt cutters from the deck, the same ones I just used to fix the boat. This iron beast weighs a ton and is still caked with mud. I swing it in a wide arc and bring it down on the metal side rail right next to the fat man's face. A bone-rattling crash. The metal rail caves in with a deep dent. Sparks fly. The whole boat hums from the impact. I rotate my wrist and press press the cold iron jaw of the bolt cutters flat against the fat man's forehead. Touch her again. My voice is low, but it carries the kind of menace that makes people go still. Eyes as cold as a blade looking for somewhere to go in. The fat man shakes head to toe, certain those iron jaws can crack his skull open at any moment. A warm spreading stain darkens his pants and mixes with the rainwater pooling on the deck. I won't touch her. I won't touch her. I'm sorry. I ran my mouth. I'm gone. He scrambles backward in pure terror, all the way to the most rain-soaked corner of the stern, clutching his dislocated wrist and shaking. The young men who wanted to make trouble are frozen solid, every one of them hunching their shoulders, not daring to breathe. Lou chooses this moment to step out of the wheelhouse with long, heavy strides. He yanks the flare gun from his belt and raises it toward the sky, bloodshot eyes sweeping every face on the boat. Every last one of you shut your mouths. This boat just died in that water. This man dove under and fixed it with his bare life. Without him, you'd all be feeding the fish right now. Anyone who thinks it's too crowded, get off right now and swim. The entire boat goes dead silent. Not a single sound from anyone. I drop the bolt cutters and sit down beside Lily, using my wide shoulders to block the wind and rain. Lily leans against me and finally relaxes. The baby in her arms, weighed down by the hidden gold bars, is sleeping soundly. Lou heads back to the wheelhouse and pushes the throttle all the way forward. The engine roars. The propeller churns up wide sheets of white water. The rescue boat cuts through the floodwater surge and moves to safety. I look back at that building growing smaller behind us. I don't look again. The rescue boat reaches shore. The city sports hall sits on high ground. The floodwater never reached it, making it the largest evacuation shelter in the city. I jump first into knee-deep mud and turn back to lift Lily and the baby carefully down from the boat. One arm around Lily, the other hand gripping the heavy black canvas bag, I walk in long strides toward the main entrance. The moment we step inside, the stench hits, sweat and feet and rotting mud all at once. The basketball court is packed wall to wall with people, so dense you can barely move. Flattened cardboard boxes and torn mats cover the floor. Bodies sprawl across every walkway. Children cry. Adults argue. People are throwing punches over half a stale bun. The noise drills into your skull. I shield Lily and push through the crowd, my size and my eyes doing the work. People part and let me through. The ground floor is full of every kind of trouble. No good staying down here. I take Lily up to the second floor stands and find the highest corner spot against the wall. Solid concrete at our backs, only one set of steps leading up to us. Easy to defend if anything starts. We've barely claimed the spot when two punks slide over, eyes fixed on the baby in Lily's arms and the bag in my hand. One of them curls his lip. This spot is taken, friend. Know your place and move along. I say nothing. I drop the heavy bolt cutters onto the concrete floor with a thunderous crash. Sparks jump. I raise my eyes slowly and look at both of them. My wife just gave birth. She needs quiet. Take one more step toward us and I'll break both your legs and throw you off this level. The two punks meet my eyes, the kind of stare that has nothing left to lose, and their nerve dissolves. They tuck their heads down without a word and slink back downstairs. I peel off my half-dry jacket and spread it out in the corner, and help Lily sit back against the wall. I jam the black canvas bag deep into the gap between the wall and Lily's back, then position my body in front of it. Inside that bag is everything our family fought to pull from underwater, every gold bar. This is our starting capital for a new life down south. It's the lifeline for all three of us. Lily's face is pale, arms locked around our sleeping baby girl, body trembling steadily. She leans close to my ear and drops her voice low. Marcus, this place is dangerous. I just saw several people staring at our bag. I'm scared. I rub her ice-cold hands and say, don't be scared. I'm right here. Close your eyes and sleep. If the sky falls, I'll hold it up. Deep in the night, the main lights in the sports hall go dark, leaving only a few emergency lamps in the corners. Snoring fills the hall from wall to wall. Security patrol officers sweep their flashlights through the darkness every now and then. When the beam passes, nothing moves. The moment it moves on, pairs of shifty eyes appear in the dark corners. I sit against the wall with my eyes closed, breathing slow and even, looking completely asleep. But the supply salvage radar in my head is fully active. This radar is especially sensitive to metal. In close-range defense mode, any metal blade that enters within 2 meters triggers a violent alarm in my skull. This shelter is full of people with bad intentions. Our family of 3, a woman who just gave birth, a newborn baby, all of us looking like easy targets, and that bulging canvas bag has already been noticed. 3 in the morning. Everyone is sleeping the deepest. A thin, dark figure creeps up the steps below the stands, hunched low, moving inch by inch. This one goes by the name Slippery. A career thief. From the moment I walked in earlier today, he had his eye on that black canvas bag. The way it pulls down, there's something heavy and valuable inside. Slippery moves barefoot on the concrete steps without a sound, using the seats for cover, sliding up until he is right at my feet. He stares at me for a full 30 seconds, confirms I'm dead asleep, then glances over at Lily in the corner and grins. Slippery crouches down, slides his hand along his sleeve, and pinches out a thin razor blade between two fingers. One light slash across the bottom of the bag, and everything inside will slip out through the cut. Slippery holds his breath and eases the blade toward the bag behind me. 1 foot away, half a foot, the blade less than 4 inches from the bag, when a sharp tone fires in my head. A red dot blazes onto the radar display right in my face, strobing like mad. System alert, metal intrusion. I snap my eyes open, gaze hitting like a predator locking onto prey. Slippery hasn't noticed. The blade in his hand is already starting its downward slide. I move. Years of working with heavy machinery have made my hands terrifyingly strong. Slippery flinches and tries to pull back. Too late. My thumb drives hard into the nerve cluster at his wrist. My arm fires with full force, twisting outward against the joint in a sharp wrist lock. A crisp crack. Slippery's wrist pops clean out of the socket, bone grinding out of place. His eyes bulge. His mouth flies open for a scream. My left hand clamps over his mouth and drives that scream back down his throat. Then my right knee drives hard upward, slamming into Slippery's chest and pinning his whole body flat against the concrete floor. The razor blade hits the ground with a small ring. These moves are clean and complete. The whole thing takes less than 3 seconds. Slippery is pinned to the ground, wrist dislocated, chest crushed so he can't breathe, mouth sealed shut, his whole body convulsing from the pain, face slick with tears and snot, producing nothing but muffled whimpers through his nose. Down on the ground floor, several accomplices pretending to sleep are waiting for Slippery to finish the job. They hear something and look up, straight into my cold stare. One hand still pinning Slippery, I reach down with the other and pick up the bolt cutters. I point them at the accomplices below. The fear drains the color from their faces. They slam their eyes shut and play dead, not making a single sound. The noise wakes Lily. She sits up with the baby clutched to her chest and squints through the dim light at the razor blade on the floor and the thief pinned beneath me. The shock hits her like ice water. "Marcus," I say, "it's handled. Go back to sleep." My voice is steady, not even winded. I pull my hand from his mouth, grab Slippery by the hair, and haul him off the floor like a dead dog. His eyes roll back in his head from the pain, legs dragging limp as noodles behind him. I kick the razor blade away and lift Slippery by the collar with one hand, walking down the stands in long strides, and hand this career thief straight over to the security patrol that same night. The flood recedes. Time to rebuild. After more than half a month, the water finally drains away completely. I bring Lily and the baby back to the Ironworks factory residential compound. The ground is thick with foul mud everywhere, every piece of furniture swollen and rotted from the flood, and we barely clear enough space to stand when the factory loudspeaker crackles to life. The factory machinery has been destroyed by the floodwater. Orders have come down from above. The factory is being restructured. Masses of workers are being bought out and laid off. In front of the factory office building, it's total chaos. Veterans are losing their minds, slapping their thighs and cursing, some crouching in the mud and sobbing. I don't even crease my brow. I push through the crowd and sign the buyout agreement without a word. The HR chief tries to play games, telling me the severance pay comes next month. I plant both hands on his desk and stare him down. I tell him if I don't get the money today, I'll go straight to the bureau and ask where exactly that shipment of disaster relief flour disappeared to. His jowls start quivering. He approves the paperwork on the spot. I walk out with 800 yuan in my pocket and head straight home. Lily is sitting on the bedboards nursing the baby, staring at the layoff certificate with dread. I touch our daughter's cheek and smile. "We're done with this rusted iron rice bowl. Pack up. We're going to the special economic zone down south." Lily's eyes go wide. "Down south? We don't know anyone there. What are we going to sell?" But one look at my face, completely certain, and the fear leaves her. She starts packing efficiently. On the train, I keep Lily and the baby in a corner with my eyes sweeping the car. In the middle of the night, the lights dim, and a wiry little man in a gray jacket drifts down the aisle, eyes fixed on the cloth bundle in Lily's arms. He closes in, a broken razor blade pinched in his right hand, quietly moving to slice the strap. A tone fires in my head. "Supply salvage radar alert. Target individual's right hand conceals a sharp blade, currently cutting through fabric fibers." I snap my eyes open. My right hand seizes his wrist and wrenches it down hard. He yelps. "Ow!" The blade drops. No words from me. I rise and drive my foot into his stomach. He flies backward more than 2 meters and crashes into a metal trash can, unable to get up. Everyone in the car jolts awake. I sweep my eyes coldly over the few accomplices craning their necks to look, and say, "Anyone else reaches toward us, I'll cut off their hand." They shrink back instantly, not one of them making a sound. Nobody comes near us for the rest of the journey. The train pulls into the special economic zone. We step out of the station and motorbikes and three-wheelers are everywhere. Street vendors line the road selling digital watches and cassette tapes. I get Lily and the baby settled in a small guest house and head straight for the biggest private gold shop on the street, gold bars tucked inside my jacket. The owner is a lean man with slicked back hair, wiping down the glass counter. I walk in, pull out 2 gold bars wrapped in red cloth, tap them against the glass and ask, "You buying gold?" His eyes light up. He picks them up, hefts them, examines them under a magnifying glass, then his expression shifts. He sighs. "The quality is poor, mixed with copper, no receipt either. Hard to take these." I give a cold smile and say nothing. He puts the bars on the digital scale. It reads 450 grams. He points at the display. "Short on weight too. I'll credit you 300 grams max, 70 per gram, 21,000 total." I stare at the scale. A ping in my head. The radar scan result comes back. The scale has a hidden device installed underneath, a remote-controlled magnet module. The displayed weight is 25% below the real weight. These two pure gold bars actually weigh a full 600 grams. My expression goes flat. This man has taken one look at me as an outsider and decided to rob me blind. No more words. My right hand grabs his collar and slams his head down onto the glass counter with a bang. "You think I'm blind? Magnet under the scale, remote control in your left pocket, 600 grams of pure gold, and you read me 450. And then you lowball me on top of it." He shakes with terror and screams for security. Two heavies burst out from the back room with rubber batons. I don't move. I grab the solid brass abacus off the counter and swing it full force into the left guard's shoulder. A crack. He screams and drops to his knees. I pivot and drive a sidekick into the right guard's stomach, sending him flying 2 meters into a row of plastic chairs. Under 5 seconds, both of them are on the ground moaning. "I crawled out of a pile of corpses to get here. Stop playing games. Go get the balance scale from the back and weigh it in front of me. 1 gram short and I tear this shop apart." The owner knows he's hit a wall. He scrambles to the back room and drags out a brass balance scale, loads the weights honestly, and the needle settles dead center. 600 grams. Not a fraction off. He wipes the cold sweat from his face and forces a smile. "At today's top market rate, 85 per gram, 51,000 total." I pull out all the remaining gold bars, 5 bars in total, and lay them all on the counter. I drop one line, "Convert all of it to cash. Try anything funny and see what happens." Half an hour later, I walk out of the gold shop carrying a black leather bag, neatly stacked with over 100,000 yuan in cash. Money in hand, I head straight for the busiest electronic street in the city. The road is packed with people and delivery vans hauling goods everywhere. I switch on the supply salvage radar and scan more than a dozen shops for lease in an instant. Some show water damage. Some have deteriorated wiring. Some have unclear ownership. None of them make the cut. Then I reach a large 2-story corner shop, right on the street. The radar reads 300 square meters across both floors. Excellent structure. Dry, zero ownership disputes. The door has a note on it. "Owner leaving the country urgently. Low price, no negotiating." I push the door open. A middle-aged man with glasses sits inside, smoking and looking worried. I ask straight out what the terms are. He says, "Rent plus transfer fee, 80,000 for the year. I fly out next week. Final price." I do one walkthrough. Prime location, excellent natural light, room for large vehicles out front. Done. 80,000. I open the leather bag and show him the stacks of clean banknotes. "We sign the contract today." I pay in full on the spot. Keys change hands immediately. The owner stares, terrified I'll change my mind, and rushes to find paper and a pen. Less than half an hour later, contract signed, fingerprints pressed. The owner leaves with his money wearing a big grin, leaving behind a brass keyring. That evening, I bring Lily and the baby to our new shop. Lily stares at the 2-story space, mouth hanging open, walking circles around the room. "Marcus? All of this is ours?" I put my arm around her. "All ours." With the remaining tens of thousands still in my pocket as startup capital, my mind is already running through every supply source. The zone is full of electronics factories. With the supply salvage radar to scan and verify the goods, I plan to head out first thing tomorrow morning and hit the wholesale electronics market hard. In 1999, the special economic zone is like a giant steamer, factory floors roaring with machines, the sharp smell of solder and welding smoke hanging over every courtyard. I stand in the assembly factory warehouse, white shirt sleeves rolled up, staring at several hundred brand new color televisions fresh off the line, casings polished and gleaming, looking impressive. Fat Manager Zhang holds out a cigarette, his whole face creased into a smile, and says, "Take a look at this batch, Marcus." He tells me every unit has the latest picture tubes and imported motherboards. If Marcus takes the whole lot, he'll give a special price, 800 per unit. I don't take the cigarette. I stare hard at the televisions. A ping fires in my head. Supply salvage radar activates. Back during the Great Flood, this radar could only locate canned luncheon meat and cigarettes underwater. Here in the zone, I've figured out every trick it has, and it has become the most powerful inspection tool in the market. Right before my eyes, a virtual scanning grid materializes, blanketing every television in the batch. In under 2 seconds, the grid pulses. The casings glow green. Yes, the plastic is genuinely new. But when the scan pushes deeper inside, settling on the picture tubes and motherboards, the red light blazes. Radar alert. Picture tubes are heavily degraded refurbished units. Motherboards riddled with cold solder joints. Cheap capacitors throughout. I give a cold laugh and turn to look at Fat Manager Zhang. "Zhang, you taking me for a sucker?" I step forward and slap the casing. Shell is new. The tubes inside came from a scrapyard, didn't they? The capacitors on the motherboard don't even have a brand name on them, and the solder points look like something chewed them up. These things will burn out inside 3 months. The smile freezes on Fat Manager Zhang's face. Cold sweat breaks across his forehead. Marcus, how do your eyes work like some kind of X-ray? You didn't even open one up. I say, you think anyone in this business shows up with cash and no real skills to back it? I turn and walk without another word. Keep your junk, Zhang. We're done. I leave that crooked factory and let the radar lead me, hitting 3 major factories in a row, picking only what scans solid green with quality materials throughout. With the cash in hand, I buy out 2 full truckloads of televisions, refrigerators, and washing machines in one go. 3 days later, the busiest commercial street in the city center is alive with gongs and drums. The noise is deafening. The Junjing electronic sign hangs across the full 2-story shopfront. Flower baskets crowd the entrance. 2 strings of 10,000 firecracker chains hang from the 2nd floor all the way to the ground. Lily has dressed up in a deep red blazer, hair curled and set, wearing her good shoes, holding their 2-year-old daughter as she greets customers at the door. The little girl is in a flower print dress, shaking a rattle drum, and laughing with pure joy. Who would believe that 2 years ago, Lily was trapped in a waterlogged building with no food and no water, hugely pregnant, waiting to die. And now she is the most radiant shop owner on this entire street. Lily looks out at the crowd packed in front of the door, face flushed with excitement. Marcus, there are so many people! I grab the megaphone and climb the front steps. Neighbors, Junjing Electronics is open today. Every appliance at direct factory pricing. Buy a television, get a fan free. Buy a refrigerator, get a rice cooker free. 1 fake product and we pay you back 10 times. The crowd erupts. People are waving cash and surging toward the door. That is when Big Tooth Lou, owner of the appliance shop across the street, pushes his way over. He watches our business roaring and his jealousy is eating him alive. He forces his way to the front and shouts in that raspy voice of his, "Hold on everyone, don't get scammed!" He plants himself in the doorway. The crowd stops and looks. Big Tooth Lou jabs his finger at the televisions inside and sneers. Think about it, people. A television goes for over 2,000 everywhere else. He's selling for 1,500. Nobody gives things away that cheap. These are either smuggled knockoffs or refurbished junk. Buy one and it'll blow up on you in 3 days. That does it. The customers who are about to buy all hesitate, tucking their money away. He's got a point. You get what you pay for. What if they really are refurbished? We'd be throwing our money away. Lily's hands are shaking with fury. She's already stepping forward with the baby in her arms. I catch her by the arm and give her a calm look. I set down the megaphone and walk into the shop. I pick up one of the televisions, carry it to the front entrance, and slam it down on the steps with a bang. I pull out a heavy-duty screwdriver, give my wrist a turn, and strip the back panel screws in a few clean strokes. Master Machinist, this is like taking apart a toy. The back panel comes off and every component is exposed. Everyone, look closely. I point to the neatly laid motherboard and the pristine picture tube. Original factory picture tube, pure copper coil. Every solder joint on the circuit board is smooth and full. The craftsmanship is exceptional. I can sell this cheap because I source directly from the factory. No middlemen taking a cut. A few people in the crowd actually know what they're looking at. One steps forward, takes a good look, leans in close, and immediately gives a thumbs up. This is the real thing. Better build quality than anything in the department stores. Big Tooth Lou refuses to let it go. He cranes his neck and keeps arguing. How do we know this isn't the only good one? Brought out as a decoy while the warehouse is full of garbage. The whole stockroom is probably junk. What kind of reputation does a dirt poor outsider like you even have? Before the last word leaves his mouth, horns blast from the end of the street. 2 green jeeps lead the way, escorting a black sedan straight to the front of the shop. The door swings open and a middle-aged man in uniform steps out. 2 bars and 2 stars on his shoulders, walking with authority. I look up. My eyes light up. It's Captain Wade, the man who led the rescue boats during the Great Flood. I shout, "Captain Wade," and stride toward him. Captain Wade breaks into a big laugh and pulls me into a bear hug, pounding my back hard. "Good man. Heard you opened a big shop down here. Took the day off and brought the crew to cheer you on." My eyes burn. If it weren't for Captain Wade's rescue boat back then, Lily and I would have died in that flood. I ask him, barely keeping my voice steady, how he ended up down here in the zone. Captain Wade smiles. After the Great Flood, the higher-ups recognized his work during the disaster and transferred him here as deputy captain of the zone's fire brigade. Then he turns and gives Big Tooth Lou a single cold look. Big Tooth Lou shrinks back instantly, stepping backward. Captain Wade walks straight to the front steps and faces the packed crowd. "Neighbors, someone just questioned Marcus's character and reputation. He is standing here today and he is putting this uniform on the line for Marcus." The crowd goes completely quiet, every ear open. Captain Wade points straight at me and raises his voice. 2 years ago, during the Great Flood, water rose to the 3rd floor. Bodies everywhere, looters everywhere. Our rescue boat's engine got seized by debris in the water. Hundreds of people were trapped on rooftops waiting to die. Captain Wade's eyes go red at the edges. This man, Marcus, he didn't think twice about his own life. He dove into 3 meters of floodwater and fixed that engine with his bare hands. He didn't just save the whole crew. He helped evacuate every single person in that building. Captain Wade's voice carries down the entire street. A man who dives into a flood and risks his life to save strangers. Do you really think he would sell you fakes to make a few extra yuan? Total silence falls over the crowd. A few seconds pass. Then the applause breaks like a wave. Voices ring out from everywhere. "Now that's a real man!" Someone shouts they want the biggest television. Someone else is calling for an order form for a refrigerator. Customers pour into the shop like a flood. Big Tooth Lou takes one look at the scene, knows he's finished, ducks his head, and disappears into the crowd. Captain Wade walks to the entrance, picks up the scissors, and cuts the red ribbon alongside me. He grips my hand hard. "Work hard, Marcus. The best days are still ahead." That day, the threshold of Junjing Electronics nearly gets worn through. 5 staff members work so hard they don't get a sip of water all day. Lily sits behind the register writing receipts until her wrist aches. The cash drawer so full it barely closes. The crowd doesn't thin until 10 at night. I pull down the shutter and cut off the noise of the street. Just the 3 of us left inside. The glass counter is stacked with a mountain of 100 yuan bills. Lily holds the money in both hands, tears streaming down her face. "Marcus, are we dreaming?" She wipes her eyes and keeps talking. "What we made today is more than 10 years at the factory. Every time I close my eyes, I still feel like I'm back in that leaking room with black water rising outside." I walk over and put my arm around her. Our daughter is sleeping soundly in a cardboard box nearby, rattle drum clutched tight to her chest. I give Lily's shoulder a gentle pat, pick up the ledger, turn to a fresh page, and bend my head down to start calculating tomorrow's supply order.